I hate the way it says that. Why does it have to do that now? It's so dumb. Everyone can hear it. Anyway,
Yeah, it just asked me if I consent to being recorded and not even the host.
Yeah, it's a new Zoom thing. So so tonight I wanted to talk. I just was having a think today around what has been some big issues for a lot of the team, and I think procrastination is a really big one. So I thought, you know, because obviously consistency is massive for us. Being consistent is what gets us to success in our business. So if we decide that we're going to take a day or two or three or four off, then, you know, not only do our algorithms feel it and die, but, you know, we're not creating that momentum in our business at all. We're not being seen on social media, so people aren't seeing what you're doing, and you're not actually talking to people. So you're not actually learning about them, and they're not actually learning about you and what you do. So, and I know that for a lot of people, that consistency, procrastination gets them most of the time. It's like, oh, it's too hard, I'll do it later, or I'll do it tomorrow, or whatever, and it doesn't happen. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to just go through some little steps that you can take to help you in your business to get past that procrastination. And the last one is very exciting because there's some other stuff as well as part of that. So first thing, when we think about procrastination, is what we want to do is we want to, because obviously our expectations are really low when we're in procrastination. Procrastination is a type of fear, by the way. It's a fear mechanism. We're afraid of doing something for some reason, and so procrastination kicks in. So what we want to do is we want to increase our expectancy. So in other words, we want to increase what we're going to get out of it. So, you know, the end result. We want to increase that we expect to get a certain end result, okay? The other thing that we want to increase is we want to increase the value. So what value are we getting from this? What does it mean to us? You know, what does that end result mean to us in us doing the daily, right? And what we want to do is we want to minimize the impulsiveness, which is essentially distraction. So for a lot of people, we get distracted by other things that are going on in our environment, and it makes us impulsive to, oh, let's give that a go, instead of doing what it is that we are meant to be doing in terms of our work. So we want to minimize the impulsiveness. We also want to minimize the delay. So in other words, if we're on a goal, we've got a goal to get something, the longer it takes us to get to that goal, the longer it takes, the harder it is for us to stay in doing what we're doing, stay consistent. So we kind of lose that momentum, and procrastination sets in really easily. So we want to minimize that delay time, okay? So how do we do these things? You might want to write these down. So these are a few little activities that we can do. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to break down the steps. We want to make it smaller, okay, because it's easier. So we increase our expectation as the smaller tasks seem much easier to accomplish, right? So the smaller the task, the more you think, oh, I can do that, that's quite simple. And a really good way that you can do that is you can either prioritize what is important. So for example, when you're doing your DMO, if you've got a DMO that's like this long and you've got so many reach outs and it's just not doable for you, you're finding it too hard, drop it down. Prioritize what is important to you. Honestly, the most important things for you to do is to be doing your posting, your new conversations, your inviting and your follow-ups. That's all you have to do. So how many minimum are you going to do a day? Is that one post? Is that 2 reach outs, 1 reach out even? Is that 1 invitation? Is that 1 follow-up, 2 follow-ups? That's really easy for a lot of people to do. So prioritize what is important to you. And the other thing that works really well for me, now this might not work for everybody, but this works really well for me, and that is scheduling everything. So I put everything in my calendar. I have Google Calendar, and for anyone who doesn't have like a actual, if you're like a paper calendar person, a diary person, I used to be, but they ended up annoying me, and it was just another thing that I had to carry around. But if you are if you prefer technology, I have Google Calendar. It is free and it is really good, and you can schedule blocks of time. You can even color code them. That's really cool. And if you've got Calendly, you can also, or your Calendly and your Google Calendar work together. So things go automatically in there. So you're not spending heaps of time on there. You actually hardly spend any time on there at all. Number 2, we want to keep the tasks small, which is pretty much what I was just talking about when I was saying about prioritizing what is important to you. So for any of you who don't know the Pomodoro technique, I don't know if any of you know this, but it's a time technique. So what they suggest, bye Rachel. So what they suggest is 25, so like working for 25-minute blocks, each separated by a 5-minute block. Now, if you, for example, are doing your DMO and say you're putting half an hour aside, what you could do is you could do 10 minutes, 5 minutes break, 10 minutes, 5 minutes break. Maybe you could do like 40 minutes with 5 minutes break, or 45 minutes with 5 minutes break in between. If you find that easier, rather than sitting there for a full half an hour to do your work. This is where the 10-minute, this is where the stolen moments come in, right? For these team who are working full time, eh, Tammy? So, and the other thing is, so during each block, focus on one small task. Say, for example, you've got a 10-minute block you're going to do. What are you going to do in that time? Are you going to do your 2 reach outs and your invite? I mean, that should take you less than 10 minutes. And then your next 10-minute block, are you going to put a post up? And maybe your next 10-minute block, are you going to put a story up? So, or you're going to do your follow-up. So just make everything smaller than what you're doing currently at the moment. So what this does is this increases your expectation and reduces your impulsiveness. So you've got less chance of actually getting distracted by things, and you've got more chance of going, well, actually, I've achieved what I said I'm going to achieve today, and I feel really good about it. So your expectations have been rewarded. Number 3, set the bar low. So set your goal to something less than what you are capable of. I know this sounds terrible, but it's actually a really good idea for anyone who's not a high achiever. Set the goal to something less than what you're capable of. So, for example, instead of meditating for 20 minutes a day and not getting it done, so if you're like someone who wants to get it done every day, and say you have 2 or 3 days, I just didn't get it done today, and you're beating yourself up about it, instead of doing that, say, set a meditation for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, because what you'll find is you'll actually get that done in your day because it's only 5 minutes. And then what you'll find is you'll probably meditate for longer than that anyway each time. But if you know you're only going to do 5 minutes, then you can spend as much time on it as you want, and you know that you're actually going to get it done. So just something really little. Number 4, hack pleasure from the experience of work. So when we think about doing the DMO, we think it's all work, right? It's all work. Need and like the short ones, or ones while I sleep. Yeah, that's right, Tammy. And if that works for you, do that, because that's the best. You've got to find, the thing is, you've got to find ways that work for you, that decrease the procrastination, and still you're enjoying it. So when we're talking about enjoying the experience of work, how many of you enjoy doing your DMO? Yeah, well, I semi-enjoy it because I quite like interacting with people, and I like doing my posts and my stories, and I actually like my follow-ups now. It's just the whole inviting thing that I don't like that much, but you know, it's fine, I still do it. So I get that, but what we want to do is we want to enjoy it. So how can we enjoy it? So if you find it hard, maybe you don't know what you want or you have unclear priorities. So think about that, okay? So that means, so this shows that you've got low value. So you don't actually value what you're doing. So that means you've got to go back to your why, right? Your reason for doing this in the first place. And I know that leaders say this all the time, but it's so true. The moment that you go back to, well, why am I doing this? And the other thing is, what else is there? What else would I be doing if I'm not doing this? And every time it'll bring you back to, okay, now I get it. Now the values come back in. And then the other thing that you can do is reward yourself for completing a task. Say you've completed your DMO for the day, whatever that minimum DMO is that you decided that you were going to do, that you scheduled, that you did your 10 minutes blocks on. Reward yourself with something small. I don't know, it might be coffee with a friend. It might be having a bath. It might be going for a walk. It might be doing a really extra long meditation. Whatever the reward is for you, reward yourself, because that's really important. That will bring the enjoyment back for your experience. And it won't make you feel like it's just laborious and that all you ever do is work. But make sure you only do it after you've completed the entire task that you said you would do. So you told yourself you would do it, because if you do it before, then that defeats the whole purpose, right? The other thing is, look at things that you love along with your work. So when you're doing your work, what do you like? Do you like nice scented candles that smell nice? Do you like music playing in the background? You know, do you like you're being in a really comfortable place with the fire on, you know, all snuggled up? What is it that you love? So make sure you're in a place where you really, or an environment, make your environment really enjoyable so that it makes you feel like. So when I write, because writing can be, yes, I love writing, but sometimes it can be quite laborious. And so I'll write for an hour, then I'll have a break for 5. And then I'll come back. But what I do is, what my ritual is I'll burn a scented candle. So that's every time I do that, it's my writing time. And I love the scent of a beautiful scented candle. So it helps keep me in the zone as well and keep writing. Okay, number 5, use the Parkinson's law to your advantage. Who knows what the Parkinson's law is? So this is, don't get into thinking you can complete your tasks at a later time. The Parkinson's, like, you know, if you're going, oh, no, I can't do it now, I have to do it later. It's too hard right now, I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, it's too scary. So Parkinson's law explains that your work expands to fill the time allotted to it. Meaning that if you only have 30 minutes of work to do, but you allot 2 hours of work time to do it, so you schedule that in, then you'll end up using the whole 2 hours. And that's what I do. I schedule 3 hours for Juice Plus, I use the whole lot. So it's true. But what that does is it makes you feel like you've done lots of work and you'll get all those tasks done in that time. Because the other thing is, you don't want to be too aggressive with your timeline, because it leads to feelings of failure. So you don't want to say, okay, I've got half an hour, I'm going to do this in, and then you don't make it. You don't do it, and you go over that time, and then you feel like you failed, right? It also causes stress, and it increases your procrastination, because you think, well, why bother, because it takes too long, it's too hard. So you're back to square one. Number 6, be deliberate with your work environment. So distractions are the biggest killer to our success. Tammy knows about this, eh, honey? Avoiding distractions through sheer willpower is likely to be fruitful long term. So if you're like, no, I'm not going to be distracted by that, I'm going to just focus on this, it's too much energy. So you want to make your environment clean so there's no distractions. So think about what do I get distracted from really easily? And take that away out of your environment. So create your workplace that minimizes it, and this decreases your impulsivity. So I don't know, for example, it's really tricky because we're actually working on social media. So, we've got to be on social media, but what is it that distracts you? Is it Netflix? Is it, I don't know, whatever it is, minimize your environment so that you're not getting those distractions. It might be your dogs or your cats. They're pretty distracting for me. Something else that you love doing. The other thing is when sending messages, so this is a really good one to remember, when you're in your DMO time and you're sending messages, husband. I love that, Megan. Yeah, he can be distracting.
He's saying, do you want to go for a walk? I'm like, no, I've got to do this now.
So then you just shut the door and say, you're not allowed in right now. Yeah, you're not allowed in the office right now. Go away. So when you're in your DMO and you're sending out your messages or your follow-ups or your invites, whatever it is that you're doing, and you see messages come back, so you might be starting conversations and then people are replying to you. Don't answer them. Yes, they're there, they're coming through on your phone, but don't even look at them. So just stay focused on what it is you're doing and then go back to them afterwards, because that's what takes the time, is getting involved and replying to them straight away. Then you don't actually finish your DMO. So just be mindful that in this 10 minutes, this is what I'm doing. And then maybe in the next 10 minutes, I can reply to messages, right? Okay, so number 7, this is the fun part, understanding your personality type. So this is really, really important because we can understand how it is that we learn things. So one of the things that I have done in the past that I love, that works really well, and I think I've sent it to some of my leaders. I know Tammy's done it. That is the 4 tendency personalities, and these are amazing because they look at what are your expectations internally and what are your expectations externally, so you can understand what works for you, so you know what is the best way for you to work, whether you can schedule, whether what it is that you do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a short little video that explains the 4 tendencies really well. And then I'm going to send you all of you, actually, yes, I might just pop it in here actually. I'll send the link for the quiz and you can do it yourself and find out what personality type you are to make your life a lot easier. You know what yours is, Tammy, but you might find this interesting to watch anyway. Actually, I better just go back there because I forgot to put the share sound. Now it better work. I'm going to get rid of some of these pages, these windows. Okay,
Today, I'm going to talk about the strategy of the 4 tendencies. Now, the overwhelming conclusion that I've reached about habits is that if we want to change our habits, we first have to understand ourselves. Because when we understand ourselves, we can figure out how to change our habits in the way that's going to suit us. Because if you try to form a habit in a way that's doesn't suit you, your interests, your nature, your values, it's not going to stick. But when we understand ourselves, we can shape the habits to suit us, and then we get a lot better success. And as I was studying habits, it just seemed more and more clear to me that people were really different. It seemed like all the research was treating everybody as if they were exactly the same, that they had the same affinity for habits, the same aptitude for forming habits, the same desire to form habits, which seemed obvious to me that there was a huge range among people in how they formed habits. And I wanted to figure out, how can you measure people against each other? How can you understand these differences? Were there patterns that people were falling into? And I came up with this framework called the 4 tendencies framework, and it divides people into 4 categories. And this is a little dry at the beginning, but stay with me because it's really, really helpful in understanding yourself generally, other people generally, and also how habits can form. So the 4 tendencies framework has to do with how you respond to the idea of an expectation. Now, there are 2 kinds of expectations. There's outer expectations, and that's things like a work deadline or a request from a sweetheart. And then there's inner expectations, your own desire to write a blog, your own desire to get back into meditation. And here are the 4 categories. The first category are upholders. Upholders readily respond to outer expectations and inner expectations alike. They readily meet a work deadline without a lot of supervision or deadlines, and they're going to keep a New Year's resolution without much fuss. I am an upholder, and it turns out that upholder is a very tiny category, and so many things were clear to me when I realized that I thought I was pretty average, but in fact, I'm kind of on the freaky fringe. Hermione Granger is a great example of an upholder. Next are questioners. Questioners question all expectations, but they'll do it if they think it makes sense. It's very important for them to think that something is rational, that there's sound justifications for it, that it's not arbitrary. In a sense, they make everything an inner expectation because they have to endorse it. So they readily meet inner expectations, but they're going to disregard outer expectations if they don't accept them. Next, obligers. Obligers readily meet outer expectations, but they have a lot of trouble meeting inner expectations. So they do really well when there's supervision, when there's deadlines, when there's late fees, when there's their own duty as a role model to someone else. They hate to let other people down, but they often struggle with letting themselves down. Like one obliger said to me, when I was in high school, I was on the track team and I never missed a practice, but I can't go running now. Because when she was on a team, when she had a coach, when she had her team members counting on her, she had no trouble going, but she can't go running. Or someone who said, well, if I've got something on the calendar where I'm committed to somebody else, I never miss it. But if it's a commitment only to myself, I might skip it. And so for obligers, the key is external accountability. If there's a habit that they want to stick to that they're struggling with, they need to build in that form of external accountability, whether that's using a coach or a trainer or signing up for a class where the teacher's going to know if you're not there, or having some kind of accountability partner, or thinking about your duty to be a good role model for your children or for somebody else. Like somebody I know who said that when she was training for a triathlon, all of her neighbors were asking her about it, and she felt like a real duty to stick to it because she wanted to be a good role model for the people around her. And then finally are rebels. Rebels resist all expectation, outer and inner alike.
Sorry guys, I don't quite know what's happening here. I can't hear that now.
With rebels, did she say there's a dislike for all expectation?
Hang on, I've got no sound. Oh, there, yeah, hang on. Yeah.
They're motivated by choice
Hang on,
and
I'll
by
ask your question
freedom.
later.
And
yeah.
for them they don't even want to form habits. They dread habits for the most part, but they can have habit-like behaviors by choosing to do something. Whereas an upholder like me might have a habit of exercise.
Why does it keep doing that? Sorry, guys. Rebels are Maxine and Sarah. Right, there is nothing.
To do something. Whereas an upholder like me might have a habit of exercising every single day, or, rebels. Rebels resist all expectations, outer and inner alike. They want to do what they want to do, when they want to do it. They don't want to take orders from anyone, including from themselves. They're motivated by choice and by freedom. And for them to, they don't even want to form habits. They dread habits for the most part, but they can have habit-like behaviors by choosing to do something. Whereas an upholder like me might have a habit of exercising every single day, or, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to go to this exercise class. A rebel will choose to do it. Every day they'll be like, I want to run. I love the feeling of energy. I like feeling the air blowing through my hair. I like to run through the park. I like listening to new music. They want to choose to do it. And so I think it's pretty clear that when you're thinking about somebody to get it to form a habit, whether it's yourself or someone else, if you want somebody to take blood pressure medication, if you want somebody to go to bed on time, if you want somebody to exercise regularly, the way that you're going to frame it is going to be very different depending on which tendency a person is in. Upholders don't need that much support. They make up their mind and they can do it pretty easily. But sometimes they stick to things even when they shouldn't, because it's very hard for them to let go of an expectation, even if they don't want to. Like a friend of mine who wanted to quit doing a certain kind of exercise, but it somehow had locked into her mind. It was very hard for her to take it out of her calendar, even though it wasn't convenient for her anymore. Questioners needs a lot of justification, a lot of rationale. They really need to be convinced. Obligers need external accountability. Rebels need to choose. That's got to be what they want to do. And so by understanding yourself, you make it so much easier to work on your habits. Once I understood that I was an upholder, so many things about myself were clearer to me. And so sometimes just these categories, you don't want them to limit your ability to understand yourself or to grow and to change. But sometimes by getting a real insight into yourself, it makes it a lot easier to make significant change.
Friction Ruben, I remember that.
Isn't that awesome?
Can you send that to us in the group? I'd like to listen to that again at some point.
I'm just going to, hang on, I'm just going to actually send you the quiz as well. I'll send you the link to the quiz.
Oh.
Oh my God, that's why that looks so bloody huge. Hang on, I'll try that again because it didn't come out right. Sorry, guys. So if you've got any questions, just ask.
Yeah, my main question was just that bit I missed. That's why I kind of asked it there, because I missed what she was saying at the time.
What was that you missed? What was the?
I kind of answered my question when you played it again. The word after the word I was after was resisting expectation.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So in there, I've just put the. Sorry, Megan.
I just missed what number 2 was. So there was the upholder, the obliger, the rebels, but what was number 2?
Questioning, Megan. It was questioning.
Number 2 is keep the tasks. Oh, you mean the personality types?
Yeah.
So it's upholder, questioner,
questioner. That's
questioner.
me.
Yeah, obliger, and rebel. Yeah.
Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Tam.
No worries.
So what I'll do is I'll also put the link to the video in here if you want to watch it again, or you could just search her name on YouTube. I'll do that now.
Which is?
She is Gretchen Rubin. She's really good. So she basically created the 4 tendencies, but there are lots of workplaces that use it. So there we are. You can copy and paste those 2 links. I would really highly recommend that you go in and actually do the quiz, because it's amazing what you'll learn about yourself and how you work and why it is that you can't form habits, or what it is about you that can. So for me, because I'm an upholder, I actually find it hard to switch off. So I'm just so goal driven and nothing, like I don't need external accountability. I'm just completely focused on getting to my goal, but sometimes I can push myself too hard and end up unwell, physically stressed. So, and for questioners, it's about, and this is so true of Tammy, she is such a questioner, because remember when you first came to the event, Tammy, and you were like, I'm going to debunk this, and you asked so many questions, and then you were convinced, and you're convinced, and you're like, right, that's it, okay, I'm on to this. And you're still the same, aren't you? You've got to ask 101 questions and make sure that you're convinced before you'll do something. And if you're not, you won't do it, right? And Maxine's the same. I mean, she's a rebel. I mean, look at her. She's off doing her own thing. Freedom is her highest value. She's in a caravan. She can't be bothered with working. She tells everyone that she's actually lazy. Well, there's a part of her that is. But, she's got no real, and she's never been a goal-driven person ever. She just cruises from day to day to day and just does what she wants. So, yeah, and of course, when you look at Kieran, who's an obliger, she is someone who needs that accountability, who needs that constant support. And when she's got that, she will go and she will do it. But when it comes to her, she burns out because she doesn't put herself first. She doesn't look after herself. She can easily fall over and just put everyone else first and herself last. So yeah, lots of things to think about there. So do the quiz. Let me know what you are, so I know, because I'd really like to know. Be really interesting, Megan. You might think you're one thing and you might be something different. So be really interesting. You're probably a questioner, Megan.
Mostly a questioner and a little bit of rebel.
Yeah, a bit like Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome, guys. Well, unless you've got any questions, I might just let you go. I mean, it's been 40 minutes, so have an amazing evening. Really nice to see you. Such a small little group tonight. Oh, the other thing I was going to talk to you about was we're going to be doing our events differently from, I think, a couple of weeks away. So what Adam's asked me to get together with to organise a few New Zealand leaders to actually start running a regular New Zealand event, so every single week. And he's asked one of the elite leaders to support us with that in Australia. And so Kat said, I'll do it, which is really nice because I get to work with Kat. And so she's trying, so what we're trying to do is basically Adam wanted to do all of the Australian and the New Zealand event at the same time at 8:15 on a Tuesday night. Well, I can't do it because I'm dancing. So we're looking at, Kat said she might just do them on a Wednesday night. So what we might do is do our huddle first, then do our event afterwards. So that means we're going to have lots of Kiwi teams. So it's not just going to be for us. So instead of having our Soul Tribe event, we're going to have more New Zealand teams. So there'll be a lot more leaders, a lot more other New Zealand team coming in and sharing their stories. And it'll be really cool to have different mix of people, different weeks. And we're going to do we're going to have the themes, like, the millenniums, the 45 pluses, the travelers, the retirees, the woman in business, the mums. So all of that, men, we even do some male events. So if there's any themes in terms of events that you want to do, please let me know, because, we can bring all that stuff in. So if you all want to share and be part of that, and put your hand up too and let me know that, so that I can make sure that you're in, or like create a little event group or something for anyone who wants to regularly share on these events. Exciting.
Our events on Wednesday nights before huddle, we'll just have these instead. Is that what we're doing? Integrating so everyone in New Zealand can just come to one instead of us all having little ones everywhere.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be easier, because we're finding that with our Soul Tribe events, as much as I love them, they're just there's always the same people, and there's too much pressure on the same people all the time to be showing up, and I don't think that's fair. And also the other thing, it's going to give us more, we'll be listening to different stories all the time,
Well, I think also that, it's a natural progression, because as the leaders in Aussie get bigger and bigger with their own businesses, they get too busy and they need us to step be the next level coming up, so that eventually that there'll be, 3 generations under us that'll be jumping on and we'll be the new, Adam, Pat, and whatever people, but we're the New Zealand ones because we've been in it that long and we've done it and we've got the experience to share.
That's right.
So that's what we're teaching our team to do. One day it's going to be them, that's why I think too is it doesn't matter whether someone's there or not, because it's teaching us how to deliver the information. And I sometimes find that it doesn't matter if there's less people, because then some of the quieter ones don't feel overwhelmed, as well. So I mean, it's cool having it in New Zealand, because I think sometimes you get stage fright with the big Aussie stars on there as well. You don't
I know.
who want to say anything on Adam's live in case you get pulled in by him and you'll freeze up, and he's so everyone's so excited about it that it's scary too. So yeah,
he's so good. He's so good at pulling out all your challenges. He's just so good at pulling out all your bullshit, and I know he's great. But it's good, Timmy. It's really good. So
is there still talks around that, or do you know what time or anything yet?
Well, we're still talking about it at the moment. So I mean, at this stage, one thing that I will say is Soul Tribe is the biggest team in New Zealand in team freestyle. I know, isn't that exciting? So that was one of the reasons why Adam was like, Tans, you need to do this. You organise this and get a few of the leaders involved as well. So he's created a chat with, I think, Joe October, which you all know, and Bridget, I think. But I'll see, there must be some more. I'll find out where the other ones are from and see if we can pull together more, because, now it's also going to mean that we've got more of a New Zealand community. We haven't had that. And I really want that for Kiwis. There's a real Australian community, but not a New Zealand one.
It's going to snowball after conference too. I think that the audience who will jump on these trainings will be larger once they know who we are and everything too, Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I'm excited about that. And I'll make sure you all know what's happening when I know. At the moment, we're just finding a day. And then once we've got a day, then I'm going to gather the New Zealand leaders, and then we can actually decide, okay, when are we starting? Let's do these.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can start a little group for anyone who wants to be part of them sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think about the themes? What do you think? The themes, the themed ideas?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what they normally do, what the other guys do. They just have... No, we're doing it like events. So we're actually replacing our events. So we do want to keep it kind of themed day. Yeah.
Then we can actually invite people who are in that category to the events.
Well, it's helpful for people that want to share the videos with other friends when they know what it is that, like we were talking about it the other day with the girls just want to have funs videos. And everyone's on the threads going, so which one's got, who's got the young people in it and who's got the menopause people in it? And you got to go wading through all of the videos to figure out which one's which, because it doesn't say in the title, this one is about, it just says the date.
Except our one does. All of ours do.
The girls just want to have funs ones. They're just dated and it's the same title, but you don't know what's inside it till you watch it.
Yeah, and they don't necessarily. They never had themed ones either. They would just do it with women.
I think if I don't know if it's not too bold to say, I think some of the videos are a bit long and I think need to be shortened a little bit because a lot of people don't appear to have a lot of time.
We're making them 30 minutes. Yeah,
well, I'm thinking even shorter than that, like 15 minutes even. If like maybe a bit about the program and then one share instead of 1, 2, 3 shares or something. I don't know.
It's actually more powerful when you've got more.
Well, I'm just thinking, Tanya, what if we record the first 15 minutes and make that an event, a presentation style thing. And then the next, how long do you want to make them? Half an hour or so, or longer?
Yeah, no longer than 30 minutes.
So the next 15 minutes is training for the all the New Zealand team and that. So you've got a presentation that you can share and just have like 3 guest speakers, or that's it. But I reckon keeping the intro a bit shorter and giving maybe 4 experiences, and then cutting the video and then going to some training for 15 minutes for everyone as well. So there's sort of a bit of both.
Yeah, we could do that, but we've got New Zealand training on Monday nights.
Oh, so you want it just as an event? No training?
No, just
Okay.
as an event.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with Megan. Just maybe 20, 25, and maybe just 4 speakers plus an intro.
Maybe
if we're going to be able to, if these videos are going to be able to be shared for potentials, I just feel that people don't appear to have a lot of time. They want to know what it's about, but then obviously sharing does help. But at this stage, as far as I can see, is I've used Christine Drummond's video, which tells you a bit about the product, but there's not even a single share in there. So it's not going to help if there's not a share, but it's too much if there's too many, because people just don't appear to have time. I've still had people that still haven't even watched that video, even though it's a 4-minute video, because they just don't appear to have time.
Well, I think that's actually, Megan, that's not about time. That's not about not having enough time. That's just about they're actually not interested and they're not prioritizing it. So if someone's not going to watch a 30-minute video, they're not interested in your business at the end of the day, or it's not the right time. I know it's tough, but that's pretty much the experience that I've had. Anyone that I've had really interested and jump on, they've either come to an event or they've watched an entire video and said, "This is great, tell me more," and got on a call.
What I think would work is if instead of 2-minute shares, they're 5-minute shares. And make them a little bit deeper, because even 20 to 25 minutes or something, and just keeping it a bit briefer in the intro and a bit deeper in the experiences, because that's what
5 minutes is a long time though for someone to listen to the same person.
Maybe 3 then.
Not exactly 5, but 2 is really short, and everyone always talks well over their time. We always end up with these long drawn out videos because everyone generally wants to talk for more than 2 minutes, and we can't, it's really hard to monitor that.
Yeah, you can do it though.
Yeah, that's kind of why I don't share as often as I do, because I know that I could easily go for longer than 2 minutes.
So I'm just looking at your question here, Kat. I think it would be a really good idea, like it probably makes more sense for you to share your story if you're on the products, because at the moment you don't really have a story, Yeah. So at the moment you don't really have a story. So it's a little bit tricky for you to say, well, I'm using the program for this long and this is what I'm noticing. So
I'm looking at it from the wrong angle, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's all right. That's fine. But that's the basics that we want people to, whenever they're having their first share, we want them to share their program story or their health story first. So
yeah. So I've got enough I've well and truly got enough to put in order for premiums, but at the same time I'm trying to work on renewing my time as well.
You've got to really look at whether you can actually keep up those monthly payments. So that's the thing, Kat. So if you've taken months to save up for your first installment, then are you going to be able to afford to have the next installment come out the next month, or do you have to save for that? Because that's the other thing too that you've got to think about. How can you fund that going forward?
Yeah, I mean, as it stands at the moment, if I look at my account now, I've got enough for the first installment and half the next one, if not over half the next one. So
yeah, okay,
yeah,
that's okay.
Like I said, I know my time I know I've got to pay the 172 again, so that's at the back of my mind as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okey-dokey. Where are you, Tammy? Are you away tonight?
Sorry about that. I keep forgetting I haven't put my mic off. Yeah, I'm in Taranaki. I'm in New Plymouth.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's nice to have you. Nice to have you with us.
Yeah, check out I did a little video of this place this morning.
Ah,
Because it's really pretty. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, definitely a good night to have this place because yeah, I've got big glass windows over the river and just beautiful.
awesome. So have you guys all got the links that I put in here copied and pasted?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
If you want to, only if you want to do the quiz or you want the video, Kat. Otherwise, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I found a name to do it on YouTube, but yeah, I think the quiz would be helpful.
Well, you can find the quiz on there too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, just ask for the quiz. Just say 4 tendencies quiz and it'll pop up.
Yeah.
On Google. Google it.
Alrighty.
Okay, team. Have an amazing evening.
You too.
It was awesome, Tanya.
Sorry?
That was awesome. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've just realised I've been recording